So onto the roof now. Just like before, we're going to be trying to kind of take some of this paint off in certain areas with the Q-tip. Starting at the cab roof here, I'm just going to start blotching this on here. And what I'm trying to do is, again, lift more of that paint off. Create some more of these blotchy little areas. Same on the cab roof itself. Unlike the sides where I was trying to keep those somewhat accurate to how the prototype looked, I'm just eyeballing this part because I don't actually know what the cab roof looks like. But I know how they weather, and that's why I'm just trying to do it like this, where I have a basic idea of how these things actually do weather. I'll streak up the side of the cab real quick. There we go, just like that. And then I'm gonna hit this antenna platform a little bit, not too much, just brush off some of that fade right on the corners of the blister here, just in random areas. Again, see that variation in the color? Looks pretty cool, huh? Alright, it does. Looking on the dynamic brakes now. Gonna get in here, just in between the fans. I'm gonna try to be a little more gentle with this. I don't want to take too much of this off, but I just again want to have some of that variation in color here, and some of the more of the raised areas. That's what I'm going for here on the exhaust. Take some heavier areas of paint off, make it look like a little bit of heat damage might have played factor to some of this paint coming off. Most of this is going to get covered up with the exhaust anyway, so I won't get too worried about details there, but just enough to you'll be able to kind of see that color variation underneath all of the weathering. And again, down the sides of the dynamic blister on the roof. Take some of that paint off. Just on the top there. It's probably good. And we'll just fan it out just a little bit, and on the tops of these fans. Okay, now switch this around to the radiator section. I will try to be very, very ginger with this. Very light. So I'm just going to get in here. In particular, in between the fans where there's a little bit more shadow from direct sunlight contacting the hood, it's going to be a little darker. If you've ever seen photos of these, that's usually how they weather. So I'm going to try to keep the outside a bit blotchy, but inside, like these spaces in the fans, like you see how these are casting the shadows from my lighting. Basically, in between these areas is where I'm going to try to take some of that paint off. Now I can't really get in a bit in between there with the Q-tip. So I'm just going to take my micro brush and dampen it again, and then just get in there and scrape just a little of that paint out. Only a little though, not too much. Just enough to give some of that shadow around the base of the fan in particular. You guys can see. And then spread that out just a little. Not too much though. So in the corner here, there's random little spots. Go back to blotching it around. And then this last little area, like around the horn. But again, just keeping it random. Now if we zoom out, you guys can basically see that effect that we've created. Looks pretty good. Really good, actually. Alright, so it's very easy to do, as you can see. One more little area we'll hit up real quick is the cab and the top of the cab here anyway. I've already done this just a little bit, but I'll just show this particular side again. There we go. Again, I'm just going to take light pressure for my Q-tip. I'm gonna just go down the sides kind of randomly and add those streaks in like that, keeping the strokes vertical. Top of the AC in as well. Have those raised little areas. Okay. And then basically you can see what I've done on the nose here. Same thing. I've just started to, and now I can take and sort of fan that out a little. Just adding those highlights. Let me see here. Lost my micro brush. Grab another one. Just dampening the tip of this one real quick. Good. Place where I can get some good lighting here. Try some more of this. Just gonna go back in with a micro brush basically and get right up to the windows and some little areas. Again, just in some of these places where there's a little bit more shadow, so the fading isn't as severe as like it is on the outside of the nose here, on the red especially. I'm just gonna work that in there. Add some random little clean patches here and there. Underneath the grab iron, on top of the grab iron there, and then back to this little corner. But you can kind of see how tedious this work is, but it's the best way I found to try to model some of this fading. Okay, so that's basically it for that process. It's very easy. That only took about 30 minutes for the entire engine, but if we get down here you guys can actually see the fading effects. I took the patches off the battery box. I also started hitting up the sides of the nose there, but you can see those chipped effects, just making it look a little bit more imperfect. Looks pretty nice. There's the top again with all the damage, the actual paint chipping, and then the fading. And then on this side, pretty much the same thing. Looks pretty sharp. So there's just some more things I got to do on the cab, and then I'm gonna paint the grills black, and then I'm gonna put the yellow frame striping on, do the patching, and I can start putting some more warning labels on, and then start the grime weathering process. But that's the basic fading of a SD40M-2 here, how I represent it. So hopefully this kind of inspires you guys to try some of these techniques on your own. Again, I've got a lot of questions on how to do this particular technique, so hopefully this will answer a few questions for those who are wondering. But I'll show this video, or I'll show this locomotive, not the video. I'll show a video later of this locomotive when it's finished, and I'll of course post some pictures on my Facebook group. That way you guys can see it when it's finished. But for now, that's about it. I'm signing off. I'll catch you guys on the next video. See ya.